welcome home. Alright, so a lot of people have been wondering what happened to the monthly updates for Fallout Miami. The last update, after all, was for March 2019. Turns out the Fallout Miami development team will now be doing seasonal updates rather than the monthly updates they had been doing. This is for a number of reasons, but here's their reasoning behind the change. We've decided that a seasonal update schedule is better for us and you. It relieves some pressure from the team to have content presentation ready by the end of the month. And now we can give you more substantial development updates. We're not going anywhere but forward, and we're as happy as ever to have you along for the ride. So, in my opinion, this is nothing but good news for Fallout Miami. I can wait an extra couple of months between updates if that takes pressure off the dev team. That is a positive for everyone. I would rather them focus on the project than worrying about getting an update out on time. I also value progress updates that are more substantial and give a deep dive into the mod itself, so this will also ensure that that is pretty much what we can expect moving forward for every update. So, now that we're getting the spring 2019 updates, you can expect the next update to likely be at the end of summer. Now, moving on to the mod progress update itself. As per usual, we have to start off with yet another beautifully composed track. And not an ambient track this time, nah. This time, we've got a fully fledged song. Pinch the Barrel, composed by Jeff Bryce, is a sun-baked surf rock sensation, and honestly, you just need to hear it. I'll give you a quick 10-second snippet of the song, but I'll leave it linked alongside everything else down in the comment section below for you to experience in full. Pinch the Barrel will play at the Bungo, a location in Fallout Miami, as well as on the Vacation Wasteland radio. Honestly, I can already envision myself on Miami Beach killing feral ghouls to this song. Music is such an important part to making the atmosphere to a game, which this mod essentially is, or just like a large DLC, feel just right. And boy, I think they're getting these compositions just right. Their factions, on the other hand, well, here's what we learned in this update. We got a little sneak peek at some masks that the Dreamers faction will be scarcely equipped with. These pre-war Halloween party masks will mainly be worn by certain key Dreamers whom we'll actually be interacting with in Miami. I have an odd fear of animal masks. I guess it's because they're often used on psychopathic killers, so this is just great news for me, I guess. The masks were made by Matthew Stevens and Tyler Woods, and apparently we'll get to hear more about the characters wearing them in a later update. We also learned that they are currently working on nailing down the visual identity of the Nuclear Patriots, and that there's some cool stuff in the works that's a little too early to show off just yet, but they do have an updated concept for their leader, that being Alex Slate, who they actually just introduced over a year ago. They've since given him a visual update to match his personality and role in the Vacation Wasteland, and honestly, I'm getting some serious Negan from The Walking Dead vibes here. As a little backstory for Alex Slate, Slate is a man who speaks plainly and isn't afraid to throw punches. Having joined the Nuclear Patriots as a boy, he grew up steeping in their twin ideals of strength and freedom. His combat prowess and natural charisma have made him a beloved leader, and he isn't too proud to admit that he couldn't run the Patriots without his trusted aides and advisors. The new concept art for Alex Slate was drawn by Annabelle Co. All of these factions are a big part of what sets Fallout Miami apart from other Fallout games, and it is great. But it is always nice to have a little sprinkle of known factions in the mix, and in comes the Enclave. The characters we'll meet were a part of a team dispatched to Miami on a mission to recover high-value military assets, but it turns out they weren't the first. Here's our look at the Enclave power armor that will be featured in Fallout Miami, textured by Tyler Woods. I love me some Enclave, so I'm hyped about this one. As for some deeper backstory for the Enclave in Miami, Operation Minerva, now known as Minerva 1, was the first attempt the Enclave made to recover this facility. In the late 2230s, a team was dispatched from the Capital Wasteland, and, well, shortly after arriving at their objective, they went silent and were never heard from again. 30-odd years later, a second attempt was made, Operation Minerva 2. A light and mobile detachment was sent out to do recon and find out what happened to the previous team. The only thing they found was their power armor. Lacking such equipment themselves, they refurbished it and began operations in the Vacation Wasteland. And all I have to say, Bethesda should probably hire these people. Now, before we continue running through all of the new content for Fallout Miami, they actually have a bit of an announcement to make. As we've begun to flesh out the main quest of Fallout Miami in greater detail, it's become more and more apparent that we simply can't accomplish our narrative goals while reusing the voiced lines for the sole survivor from Fallout 4. We've decided to go with a silent protagonist. This will allow us much greater freedom to craft events and scenarios with deeper role-playing potential and make dialogue feel more personal and engaging. That being said, the sole survivor is still the protagonist of Fallout Miami. They'll just be losing their voice in the transition from the Commonwealth to the Vacation Wasteland. We are aware that this will reduce immersion at the start, but it was the best decision we could make given the circumstances. We will be using the extended dialogue interface, which means Fallout Miami will require the Fallout 4 script extender. It's not without its drawbacks, but we are committed to delivering the same kind of Fallout experience we ourselves would like to play. And honestly, that is huge news for Fallout Miami. And for me, it's actually positive news, as I prefer a silent protagonist and would much rather see them able to make the content they want and be able to have way more diverse dialogue options. It is very restricting to just use the dialogue lines that are already available in the game and trying to splice them. As for the people that are concerned the requirement for F4SE means no console launch, well, to be straight with you, there was never going to be one in the first place. They already stated this fact, as Fallout Miami is a massive project and without a doubt is already over the file size limit for mods on Xbox One, and PlayStation 4 never even had a chance for this mod, as they don't even allow mods that use external assets on that platform in general, just at all. It's an unfortunate reality, but one out of their control. So with that said, I can only see this move to a silent protagonist as a positive decision for Fallout Miami. But with that announcement out of the way, back to the new content. Miami is a hotspot for tourists from all over the place. You can't walk for 10 minutes without seeing a bright sign or billboard proudly proclaiming that fact. Our post-apocalyptic rendition of it is no different. This is just one of many billboards you can expect to see while out exploring, drawn by David Mariachi. And of course, they know no marketing material goes without a little touch-up from the new world. And of course, it's a part of making the Vacation Wasteland feel more real and lived in. Not exactly by the best people though. Another part of making the Vacation Wasteland more real is showing a bit of their pre-war alternate history through the environment itself as much as possible. Previously, they discussed the lore for Cuba and how the United States liberated the island from Chinese communist influence. Well, in Fallout Miami, it will actually feature a museum commemorating this event. Among the exhibits, you'll find this suit of power armor given a snazzy parade paint job, textured by Alejandro Hernandez in collaboration with Tyler Woods. But what foreign invasion is complete without an ostentatious monument, you might ask? Here is the Cuban Liberation Memorial, also by Alejandro Hernandez, with concept art by Gordon Tion. It is the centerpiece for the garden outside the museum. Locations like this museum are meant for environmental world building for the Vacation Wasteland. It's not so much a location they are building up for the happenings of Fallout Miami, but purely for world building, which is a very important part of fleshing out a world in a game, and something Fallout usually always does well. So I'm glad they're following this approach. Now, a sneak peek into the Vegas side of Fallout Miami. The Vacation Wasteland will have its fair share of gambling dens, large and small, including all kinds of tables. But for today, we get a look at the roulette table made by Tyler Woods. And of course, the Slaver Citadel of Sunshine Cove, formerly the Sunshine Hotel and Casino, gets its own custom branded roulette tables to show off their big dick status of being the most elite and luxurious of all hotels in Miami. What's more interesting than big dick status, you ask, when concept art is finally brought to life via 3D art and texture work? I love me some concept art as it gets me excited for the future, but I love it when it's brought to life. And you may remember the Lifeguard Protectron based on a community suggestion by Bleach Coffee. I'm sorry if I butchered your name, with concept art drawn by Laura Escoin. Alejandro Hernandez and Tyler Woods took that art and made it a reality. You can expect them patrolling the beaches of the vacation wasteland. Now, jumping from a lifeguard to something that is going to murder you, on Halloween, the dev team showed us their new monsters, the Snapjaw. And as they say, no Fallout creature is complete without a couple of variations. In order to manage the scope of their mod, they settled on 4 variants, which is beyond enough for me. In fact, my pussy ass could have done without any, but we get 4. So we have the albino and glowing Snapjaws, which will be the more rarer encounters. This has been textured by Dorian Pillory. Then we have the alpha and mythic Snapjaws, which will be found defending their nests and deep in the brush of Miami's overgrown golf course and parks, courtesy of Fallout Miami's wonderful creature artist, Penelope Tay. As for some background on these overgrown areas, unique environments like that require some unique vegetation. Aliawa Bialek, also known as Sphera, their 2D art lead, has come up with some downright alien flora to help realize their vision for what overgrown, swampy, reclaimed by nature, but also mutated green spaces in an urban setting would look like. And there's no better example of that than the green. David Mariachi has drawn some breathtaking concept art for this location. The green, also known as El Verde, used to be the golf course parts of the Pantano Royale Golf Club, an elite establishment operated by the Cubanos before the Great War. The apocalypse makes it pretty difficult to maintain something like a golf course, especially considering the lack of customers. But the green didn't become the swampy jungle you're seeing right now just due to nature. Being no strangers to shady business dealings, the Cubanos accepted money under the table from Miami's various industrial entities in exchange for disposing of toxic waste, something we all love. Well, what do you do when you want to make something go away? You bury it in your backyard, or golf course in this case. Over time, the barrels of waste began to leak, contaminating the area and causing the plant life to grow out of control. Eventually, all kinds of critters moved in and people began to avoid the area altogether. Don't go to the green is a common thing the denizens of the vacation wasteland tell their children. Of course, there are those who still make the trip, perhaps looking to hunt wildlife uncommon elsewhere, or just to grab some gear from unfortunate hunters who never made it out. There are also rumors of people who live in the green, but everyone that's been there was usually too busy dodging blood bugs and Snapjaws to actually check. And there's always those who wind up there by mistake, and let's just say they rarely make it out. Again, this is my favorite kind of bits from updates like these. Information about the world that we learn through these big progress updates is what gets me most hyped up about playing these mods when they come out. Fallout Miami sounds like it has such an interesting and well thought out world, so I'm excited. The greens is gonna make me shit myself, but I cannot wait to look for those people that apparently live in them. Now, you may remember a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away that we got a look at an Uzi that was going to be included in Fallout Miami. Well, they have actually been hard at work on bringing it to life. It was originally made by Toasty Fresh with weapon mods by Torque Digital, and Maximilian Genowicz and Nick Reedy have been the ones continuing the work on this weapon, giving it the animations and sound effects, respectively, that it was begging for. All of this is very work in progress and is subject to change, so expect it to be even better at a later date, but I appreciate the early sneak peek nonetheless. It looks and sounds great to me and is honestly above the standards of Fallout itself. So both of you don't need to worry about the quality, but I appreciate you wanting it to be the best you could make it. And of course, they ended this different update with a special surprise for the change in their format. That being a full-on, almost 3-minute video of exploration in the vacation wasteland, and it's amazing. It's actually the footage you have been seeing on repeats in the background of this entire video. But if you'd like to see it in full without anything blocking it, as always, it will be linked in the description below. That's it for this Fallout Miami progress update. I will see you all with another when it drops at the end of summer 2019. If you enjoyed this one, please smack that like button down below, subscribe, join the good fight if you haven't already, and ring that bell icon to stay updated in all of my future videos. It'd be super greatly appreciated as always. And until next time, this is Epoxy, signing off.